Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Monday, June 26, 2023. A little after 3:15 p.m. I was a little late, got tied up with something. We'll be having a time for change call for Wednesday of this week, around 9 p.m. Eastern. Going to be a real gobsmacker. One of the most profound statements, as simple as it is, for us to adhere to, and that's a choice too, is the enlightened one, the enlightened being, made the statement, master your thoughts. Master your thoughts. There are 1,000 paths to enlightenment and 1,000,000 doors we can walk through to experience this moment as divine. One of these precious doors is not so easy or obvious to see, yet we unconsciously step through it every single day. It is the perpetual swinging door of judgment. We are so often unaware whenever we are passing judgment and obvious of how it is a secret passageway to the most enlightened and heavenly state of being. No matter if we are conscious human beings or not, the mind is constantly judging ourselves. Think about that. Constantly judging ourselves. Other people, this world, and anything that it can get a hold of. The mind was born with this master-like judgeaholic power. It can judge anything in milliseconds. You may not have realized this yet. Yet probably in the last 15 minutes, your mind passed 10 judgments on yourself, someone else, or something in the world around you, or as either good or bad. The judgmental mind is perpetually busy working away at labeling life. And this workaholic is a slippery gremlin to catch. We are so accustomed to the mind judging everything in this life. It's as if we've been soaking our hands in warm water for 25 years and know that they're gone, okay? So judgment is it's like the mind labeling something in this life as either good or bad, but not both. It is a one-sided viewpoint of existence, which separates and divides interestingly. Judgment manifests only when we are living up in the head and are disconnected from our heart. When we are living from the heart, the mind cannot judge. This occurs because the heart is free from duality. And the mind can only exist in duality, seeing black and white. The heart cannot get hooked in whatever the mind believes is only good or bad. When the heart is leading the way, we are free from the perpetual prison of the judging mind. I don't know how many people on the planet know how to drop out of the head and into the heart. Okay, now we can look around and see through some form of deductive reasoning all of this nonsense that we are, basically being exposed to. But see, when we drop out of the head, and we know that we know how to drop out of the head into the heart, the mind will become quiet. And it will become very still. From this space, we can watch our mind closely and see just how slippery its judgmental habit is. We can see how it tends to avoid what it deems as scary. The mind often believes that if I get what I want, this is good. Then I will be happy. And if I get what I don't want, this is bad. Then I will be unhappy. The most enlightened path, however, is understanding that in this great divine, supreme, all-intelligent universe, we are going to get it all. We always, always, always get what we want and what we don't want. For example, we might manifest our dream partner, soulmate, then we later realize that they trigger our deepest, darkest issues, childhood insecurities to surface every day. Or perhaps we spend half of our lives running in the great societal rat race, being devoted to striving, achieving big, luxurious dreams, and becoming financially free, only to realize later that we missed out on so many beautiful sunsets while we were indoors chasing some fantasy. Life always, both. We get death and birth. We always get both. And this polar opposite is inside everything that exists. The yin is contained within the yang, and the yang within the yin. The more often that we practice seeing, feeling into and accepting how we always get what we want and what we don't want in this life, the judgmental mind just drops on its own accord. We naturally start living every day in deep harmony in existence. We become vulnerable to existence again. And in this wonderful humility, we can feel the great perfection of life. We deeply accept that this existence is the expression of the highest intelligence, and that the good-bad judgment plan is the smartest plan available from God to create a spiritual awakening experience inside every being on this earth. It's like it's a self-challenge to ourselves to see if we can find a single situation, person, or thing of this world that is only 100% positive and does not also have the tiniest hidden negative byproduct within it. If you think you found something like a new flower budding or an amazing sunset, just wait and investigate it a bit longer, as both sides will eventually show. There is always another side to the coin, as the flower will one day wither away and the amazing sunset colors always fade into the darkness. We always get both. The rose always comes with a few thorns, even if they're small. This is about freeing ourselves from the judgment habit. And we can do this. You just start looking deeper into yourself and accept any judgments you may have. I have listened to people through the years constantly ridicule themselves, their bodies. They're not satisfied with anything dealing with themselves. They're always trying to figure out a way to get things better figure, bigger boobs, all kinds of stuff. Because they're never happy exactly the way they are. In the now, because they don't live in the now. They live either in the past or the future. Right now, in this very moment, we've got millions of people saying they're too fat, We've got millions of people saying they're too short. We've got millions of people saying they're too ugly, too poor, too dumb, too smart, too much in my head. So you welcome all the judgments you have about yourself. That's a big ticket. And just don't reject, avoid, or judge them. So you accept them, but you don't reject, avoid, or judge them. See them for what they are. They are one-sided judgments that you have about you. When you can truly see and welcome the judgment, it will have less energy and magnetic pull on you. In a matter of minutes, the contracting hard feeling around the judgmental thought will lessen, drop into stillness, and you will become truly free from it. See, we cannot be free as a people on the outside, right? Till we have freed ourselves from the inside. Till we have let go of all of these judgments, all of these ridicules through the years that we've given ourselves. Most of them we don't remember. So it's like the judging thing. It's like you get yourself judging, right? And it's kind of a welcoming process. The secret is moving totally into the experience of judging. So when you consciously are feeling only one side of the judgment, awareness grows in you. You cannot fall into that old judgment again so easily next time. You can see just how it impacts your mind, emotions, heart. When you remain in a one-sided experience of life deeply and fully for a long time, something inside you will soon tire. And then the judgment, the pendulum just swings to the other side. How many people, how many people you can come across, right, where you kind of sense it, you might be listening to conversation or something, and when they say that they're never good enough, that they cannot do anything right, that's heavy duty for oneself, to judge oneself of that. And after welcoming that judgment and feeling for 5 to 10 or even 20 minutes, something in you will exhaust itself, release the contraction, and wake up. Excuse me. This smaller, more enlightened aspect inside you will sneak in and perceive that on some level you are doing everything right and you are totally good enough. When you welcome judgment, the judgment pendulum soon swings, and this allows you to know what perfect peace feels like. How can any of us be at peace and free when we're imprisoned on the inside? There's no way. Now, some people may think that always welcoming and acknowledging both the good and the bad in this life is just some boring, fatalistic, nihilistic, uncreative path that only tends or leads to a state of apathy. Quite the contrary is true. By learning to accept and welcome it all, we find that we are truly okay with everything that is and feel a more spacious quality within ourselves. We feel we have more time to develop our ability to expand the consciousness and relax into our lives. Now, from this expanded space, we dramatically increase our manifesting vibration, our harmonics, deepen our state of inner peace, and become a magnet for the most amazing life situations to occur. You will find that the welcoming process is extremely powerful, simply because it leaves nothing out. It comes from a deep spiritual place inside you that is saying yes to the totality of your existence. You are not interested in fighting, proving anything, or resisting life anymore. Instead, you move and feel totally fluid like water, without resistance, force, or control. In this state, it's so easy to realize that God is everything, is everywhere, and in everything. It is this deep, welcoming mind that creates an enlightened mindset where you actually feel, see, and understand the divine perfection of life. We become more interesting people as we stop wasting our energy trying to negate others, ourselves, or continuously be upset with the way this life is. And a mind that is free from all judgments of ourselves and others, we naturally appreciate it all. We can see that the glass is half empty and half full at the same time. We can feel this infinite empty universe all around us, and also sense how the sun is always rising somewhere on the planet, sharing and radiating its brilliant light. Living in the enlightened mindset is like floating in a sea of orgasm, waves of deep cosmic opening of joy, happiness, and appreciation. And ecstasy can actually waft through our body at any time. When the mind is not occupied with judgments, we have more energy to make more love, explore our spiritual nature, and taste the freedom that exists at the core of our being. When we can live daily in the enlightened mindset, everything inside of us changes. All the previous pain we've been carrying seemed to have mysteriously disappeared. We can naturally and fully relax into our divine balanced nature. What I find is the most interesting aspect of all is that this judgment, free, enlightened mind, is our most natural state of being. It is already inside of us and exists at the core of who we are, at the seed of our consciousness itself. We can only experience it directly, however, when we have respect and reverence for the perfect balance that exists in everything, when we acknowledge the divine balance within every situation, person, accident, belief, memory, and atom throughout the universe. We can open up to it. The more acceptance we have that there's always good in the bad and bad in the good, something deeper inside us lets go. And we can finally relax into our deepest spiritual experience of this life. When the mind calls off the search for defining and redefining what's good and bad, we have an infinite reservoir of creative energy to surrender fully to our soul. The enlightened life is not just about cultivating a deeper relationship with our mind. It's about getting beyond the mind. When we master our mind, we no longer live in fear, period. When we master our mind, we no longer live in fear. When the mind falls from its altar, we rise to the summit. And we learn how to drop into a perpetual state of surrender, allowing the greater intelligence of this universe to run the entire show. We see how every precious moment in life has this bigger universal force behind it all. In seeing this, the mind totally gives up. And we realize that we have become the perfection that exists within everything. With enough awareness, we can totally stop the judgments, the judgmental mind, habit, and wake up from the addiction because it is an addiction. Then we'll know what real freedom is like, and nothing else will satisfy more than this freedom. This true freedom is free from all forms of pain. It is the greatest experience of this life. This means the mind can slip back into clinging to delusion and desire. And you don't. The mind might crave wine and learn to be free. Yet you know that you are the one behind it who is actually already free. You remain the watcher, deeply detached and liberated from the mind's antics. It's the greatest, deep, eternal love of all when you realize that you are not your mind. The more we practice welcoming judgments, the easier it becomes to see the mind and how to be free from it. When we can always see the good, the bad, and the balanced meeting of the two, then the struggle of this life doesn't matter so much anymore. The mind soon gets trained to only see balance and perfection. It automatically observes how the good is in the bad and the bad is in the good, and how these two worlds always collide, and there is nothing left but freedom. There is just the pure observer watching and witnessing it all. The enlightened judgment-free mind. The enlightened judgment-free mind is always available and shows up when we release the need to be right and instead create more room to be happy. Happiness through inner peace becomes the goal. Instead of striving and focusing on surviving this life, with inner peace as the priority, the dualistic mind soon becomes free from attachment, free from desire, resistance, and free from contraction. We surrender to the heart and can actually feel deeply okay with whatever manifests and does not manifest in our lives. This enlightened mindset is not hard to achieve. It takes the most deeply rooted devotion to ourselves. We must choose to be willing to know ourselves intimately and never stray from exploring further about who and what we are. This exploration leads to a profound honoring of the sacredness in all things in life. We start honoring that this balanced state of perfection is everywhere. And we have nothing to complain about or try to change in ourselves or anymore. Instead, we start worshiping everything around us. We see everything and everyone as the divine in physical form. We bow down to this very ordinary life and call it God. We look into the blade of grass and understand how it is just as sacred and important as our entire galaxy. To remain in a judgment-free, enlightened mind every day, we must choose to look at what cannot be looked at and reveal in being totally real with our pain. If we wish to remain liberated, we must choose to be willing to see where we are still in prison, fighting to get out. As long as we are fighting, we are still not truly free. So we must choose to always be aware of the slippery mind. We must never allow the sneaky judgments to take over us again. We must be 100% creatively devoted to continuously being awake, being aware, and ready to step beyond a seemingly safe, judgmental world. We must choose to become the black sheep of this world if we are to be truly free. We cannot ever agree with anyone who says that some things are just 100% bad and nothing good at all will ever come out of it. We must choose to stop all movement whenever any judgment arises. We must choose to watch our thoughts and beliefs vigilantly. Be totally aware whenever the mind starts believing in some final truth. We must do anything and everything we can so that the ego cannot harden and cling to any opinions formed or thoughts containing right and wrong beliefs. This path takes some serious devotion. Blaming holds you in the energy of the duality of the victim and abuser. Forgiving is a direct way of reclaiming your power and free yourself to love beyond judgment, grace alone. Some people will tell you how the universe is not already in a perfect design. They might try to make you believe that you should only get what you want, nothing else. This seems like the ideal situation to be in, right? Well, the spiritual awakening process is always much deeper and much more complex than it appears to be. If this universe was set up this way, the great mystery would be gone. If we should never know what a block, problem, pain, or failure was like, we would be without direction, free, perpetually numb, feel perpetually numb, and have no longing to dig deep inside our souls to find our life mission, creativity, spiritual path. This universe is already set up in the most intelligent manner. It's designed so that we can get a good solid taste of suffering, anxiety, or inner turmoil and use it to awaken within. Whenever we go unconscious and forget the divine, all-intelligent universe is everywhere around us, we instantly suffer. Whenever we allow the mind to form any judgment and register only one side of reality, our problems begin. This universe loves us so much that it doesn't want us to live in any lie. So it wakes us up with a little stress, anxiety, or emotional pain. If we don't stop and drop our judgments, another level of suffering will soon manifest. This pain is our most perfect and most loving teacher. And by welcoming it fully, we are led back to our real state of love, enlightenment, and freedom. A lot of people are in this mode and have been for a very long time on this planet. That we live in a world that ignores the fact that a supreme, divine, all-loving intelligence lives within us. We've been programmed to believe we are spiritually disconnected and must fix our broken selves to feel whole and reconnect again. We don't realize it. Yet we are just used to feeling spiritually numb, as we have been plagued every day of our lives by an overly materialistic society which is constantly seducing us with its glorified billions of dollar hypnotic media programming. We have contracted a deep case of spiritual amnesia and have forgotten how to relax in our spiritual essence and find our own intimate connection with the divine. Do not delude yourself by imagining your source to be some God outside you. Your source is within yourself. Give yourself up to it. Seek the source within. Merge with it. Marana Marishi. This everyday ignorance of our spiritual nature is the greatest lie this mankind is living today. This everyday ignorance of our spiritual nature is the greatest lie this mankind is living today. It is the cause of every moment of suffering each human being is currently in this very now enduring. Now, one may think that spiritual drought was created by mankind and is not part of the grand divine design. Since we know nothing is by coincidence or without purpose in this universe, this blind ignorance is within us all on purpose, so that we move more passionately toward a state of awakening. These intense levels of disconnection only drive us deeper inside ourselves to find our own soul. This lifetime we have right now is meant to be a deeply enlightening experience. Is there anything more important than knowing how to access your own direct personal connection to an all-powerful, deeply eternal loving source of highly intelligent, creative energy that has the magical power to manifest anything your heart desires? There is nothing more vital to finding happiness in this life than knowing one's spiritual connection, and nothing more exciting than a proven way to access it, which works every time. No matter how ridiculously stuck you feel about whatever, financial, relationships, health, sex, life, future, there is always a way to reach freedom. If and when you wish to gain a greater spiritual perspective in this life, make the choice today to clarify your personal relationship with the divine. You can see just how far you've come on your spiritual journey by taking the risk to answer these questions. And I recite these all the time to myself, and I see what my answer is. I don't do any judgment. What is stopping you from always being in communion with God? What is stopping you from always being in communication or communion with God? What exactly is your relationship with God like? You know, I've asked people this question. It's like they have that look where, you know, you're telling someone how to get to some place. Yeah, you're giving them verbal directions, which we used to do years ago. And we give them verbal directions, right? And you watch them as they totally get lost and forget everything you said to them. What does it feel like when you are having a truly intimate connection with God? What does it feel like when you are having a truly intimate connection with God? How often do you recognize and connect with the divine aspects of yourself? How often do you recognize and connect with the divine aspects of yourself? How often do you recognize and connect with the divine aspects of yourself? How is your life different when living with this connection versus without it? How is your life different when living with this connection versus without it? The longer we sit with these questions and feel into our answers, the deeper we will dig into our soul and eventually discover our spiritual connection. It is never too late to do and connect. Even if you have wasted 75 years of your life on gluttonous, frivolous, mindless activities, feeling perpetually lost in a superficial life, the God source is still here. The door to the divine is always open. God is waiting for you to come in. When you take one step towards God, God will take 10 steps towards you. Make time to redefine your relationship with the divine. And I guarantee you that your precious time will not be wasted. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. Take an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Remain still. It is your choice when you let go. Not if you can. Making the decision to let go of your problem is 90% of the battle. Making a choice means releasing the past, move forward with life. Letting go is a natural part of this life. It is the initiating key in the enlightenment process. It starts when you stop judging yourself and your life and begin to merge with the experience of the whole thing. Make that decision today to let go of any indecisiveness and move forward with confidence that you can choose to take a baby step today towards letting go of your judgment on your life and enjoying the experience more often. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and into the following morning. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what is going on outside of you.